What's your history with the first Devil Wears Prada?
So I'm a girl.
What? Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, what did we just strut out of the theater from going to see?
We just got out of seeing The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yes, the sequel to the 2006 film.
Is it really 2006?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but
That's wild if it's 2006. But that honestly kind of blows my mind a little bit here.
yeah, what's that? That's exactly 20 years ago from
Whoa! It's been 20 years? Oh man, Ethan, we're old at this point, are we?
Well, I mean, considering the last time I watched, 2006, considering the last time I watched the original Devil Wears Prada before just rewatching it a few days ago before today was on a giant JVC box TV in my parents' home. So, I mean, I'd say, 20 years does sound about right.
Wow. And you know what makes this movie even more special? It literally has the Holy Trinity back.
Yes, the Holy Trinity, although I would say it's the Holy Quartet here.
Fair enough.
Yes, we have Anne Hathaway,
Yes.
Meryl Streep,
Mm-hmm.
Emily Blunt,
Oh yeah.
and my gosh, the one and only Stanley Tucci.
The touche.
The Tooch. And my gosh, he and all of them just they're so likable in the original one, and they're brought back here, and my gosh, I don't think anyone missed a beat in this movie. Let's just get this out of the gate. Let's cut to the chase here. It's one of the hardest things, I think, in creating a sequel to a great hit movie is, and this goes for any story, but the hardest thing to do is make sure that your characters are continued on in a way that is continuing who they are, but at the same time demonstrating how they've changed or gotten to a certain point in their life where they are different and are at a different point in their life. This movie does such a great job transitioning from the first movie into this movie, and that is just something that I was worried about going into it, and here I am happy to say that this movie does deliver as a great sequel and, in fact, a great movie within itself.
Well, I think you said it exactly right. The writing let these characters move on. They aren't their 2006 versions anymore. They're their 2026 versions. And so Andy has moved on. Miranda has changed. It's not like time capsule. Time capsule?
Capsule?
Yes, that word. You don't put them in a box. You allow these characters to grow and mature, which is something that I think I was worried about too, because earlier last year we saw Freakier Friday, which, I love that movie. Such a Disney Channel original movie. And the sequel wasn't as good. And so as Disney has gone on to these renaissance of recreating these movies or giving them sequels, I was kind of nervous about this one too. And I'm happy to say I loved it.
Yeah, so I guess before going further into the review, Annmarie, what's your history with the first Devil Wears Prada?
So I'm a girl.
What?
No. So I think every young girl has seen The Devil Wears Prada. Like, it's a great film. And so I don't know if I saw it in 2006, but I was definitely young when I saw it. And I don't think I enjoyed it as much until I got into college and I was able to understand all the little quips about it. And also, I'm just an Anne Hathaway stan. I love her and everything she does. And I think Devil Wears Prada is one of her best movies, and I just really enjoy it.
Yeah, I have to join you in that club of being an Anne Hathaway stan first and foremost.
Mhm.
Definitely one of my early childhood crushes growing up. And yeah, I was introduced to this movie because my parents had it on. Oddly enough, it was more so my dad than my mom. Had it on the good old, like I said, big box JVC TV as like something that was on Spike TV or one of those channels that just aired reruns of 20th Century Fox movies. And it was just something that just fascinated me. There was something about that movie, other than the beauty of Anne Hathaway, that just really stood out to me. And I was not interested in fashion at all, but just the characters, the way the movie shot, it was very entrancing. And I'm like, this movie should not be sticking out in my head after all these years, especially after watching it such a limited amount of times and being someone that wasn't too interested in the subject material.
Mhm.
And years later, I rewatched the movie, like I said, the first time in just about, 20 years, and it was like I remembered just about everything. It was like it's a movie that really stays with you, and sometimes the best movies do that. So I was like, wow, I really was reminded how much I really enjoyed this movie throughout the years, and without even realizing it. So going into this one, you're expecting something at minimum good.
Mhm.
And with a lot of sequels, like we were talking about, it's been hit or miss.
Oh, yeah, like, for sure, especially with Disney sequels recently, so
Right. So, and we didn't cover the lead. We basically said right out of the gate, we both really enjoyed this movie. And there's a lot of reasons as to why, other than what I kind of need to get off my chest right out of the gate. And Annmarie, what was the thing that really stuck out to you the most about The Devil Wears Prada 2?
I think it's just the writing of it. I think that's something that stands out when I first saw the first movie. It's so I don't know, it just felt so real, and I think in a time of where some line deliveries aren't as good or some writing isn't as good, I think back to a lot of the Disney Plus shows that the writing is just not that good and it's just not there. I think the writing and the delivery, especially there's like certain lines where Anne Hathaway says it, and I'm like, that's just something like this character would say and say it in that way. Especially a lot of Miranda's lines too, like, I was cracking up at all of them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler at all, but there comes a time in this movie where there is a where a modern day HR, imagine Miranda's character from the 2006 movie trying to deal with today's HR. That's all I'll say. That's
Oh
all
my
I'll say.
gosh.
It is hilarious in every way you could think, and it had our whole theater, which, by the way, a packed theater.
A
You know,
packed,
when
yeah.
we use the term packed, it means that it's a pretty full theater. But here, I think that word packed definitely is to be taken a little more literal here without hyperbole. It was truly, even the front seats were taken.
And we saw it in Dolby, and so, like, those seats aren't the greatest, and people still sat up there.
Yeah, no, I mean, gosh, it was really impressive how many people this movie was able to bring in. Listen, I know that there's like a huge audience for this movie. First one especially, and now this one, there's a lot of excitement behind it. It was one of the most viewed trailers of all time, end of last year, and it just was just such a big moment in movies without really overplaying itself. And this audience really demonstrates that, and you watch these movies again, and you're reminded as to why that audience is there, why everyone's in that seat, why it's like it's deservedly so. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing makes all the monies, and
I hope it does, honestly, like, that would be so good, and I think also put Disney in the right direction
mm,
too, especially with, like, some other stuff. Princess Diaries 3, but, like, other stuff too that they could do, so I think that's the right direction.
I mean, Amory, do you think how much money do you think what's gonna be the roof of this movie
Oh, man.
worldwide?
Worldwide, I would say I wouldn't be shocked if it hits 400 million pretty easily. I think this is like a great movie, especially now before we get into the summertime a little bit more, where there's more heavy hitters. Like, this is a nice appetizer before these nice hitters will come.
You know what? I might go a little further.
Really?
I'd say 500.
Wow.
I think there's a big enough audience that watched the first one, not only when it came out, but when, I think we're reminded of it during, say, maybe COVID. I think that happened to a lot of movies that are gaining, like, legacy sequels and all that, where, you know, there was a whole generation that watched these movies during COVID, and they are going like, they're like, "Wow, there's a sequel to this movie now coming out? I'm gonna go see that." They probably wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So, I think there's gonna be a larger audience for it than initially anticipated. So I think I'd give it another 100,000,000.
I think that would be awesome too. Again, getting Disney right on the right track, especially because this is a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen. I could not imagine if this movie went to Disney Plus.
Oh my gosh, no, that would be such a waste. It's shot in such a way that it truly feels epic. And that's, this is a fashion show, fashion runway magazine, journalists, all this stuff, type of movie that you don't expect the cinematography to be all that grand and spectacular. You expect it to be like, oh yeah, the fashion's going to be nice and the music sure might be fun, but that's about it. No, no, shut up. It's
Just like Miranda would say.
That's all. It delivers not only in spectacle, but it delivers in that audio. It does deliver in the cinematography. It does deliver in scope, scale, all of that. And it does so in spades. And of course, the acting performances to enhance that. The color palette of this movie is incredible. We were said at the beginning of this review, these actors these actors are truly something. It's very rare for these types of movies where I'm able to recall the names of these characters because, for these types of movies, when it comes to like rom-coms or like more so dramas, I'll go by the actor. I won't go by the name of the characters.
Yeah.
Here, I can actually remember, Miranda, Emily, uh,
That's funny. Emily.
Nigel, Emily.
Well, I think also the thing that you said after the movie, you're like, this is awesome because it's shot like the first one. It has dialogue like the first one. They didn't go in and try to make this, we're gonna do something completely different.
Yeah, and it wasn't all too familiar either. It
Mm.
does carry a lot of the same story beats as the first one,
Mhm.
where you can pinpoint like, yeah, this would happen in the third act of the last one, or this would happen in the second act for the last one too, for something similar that does occur. I mean, there's a lot of that. However, everything surrounding those moments, it's completely different and has its own flow, has its own style, but again, carries those same beats to keep the ground leveled to maintain that sense of familiarity. So, you got people that are new to this movie that this might be their introduction to Devil Wears Prada.
I
They
hope not.
That'd be weird. But, sometimes that's the case. I've watched movies where my introduction was the sequel, not, the first one. So it's a weird experience, but sometimes it pays off because you have a different perspective of the first movie when you go back to see it. But yeah, I think you could watch this movie. You probably won't catch a lot of nuances and all that, but I feel like you could still get a decent amount out of it as its own movie. And, it just really does have that great balance.
Yeah, I do have to agree. I think you could, even though it's weird, watch this one first and then the first one. Again, you wouldn't get as much, but I think what just stands out is these characters were allowed to evolve. They
Yes.
weren't allowed they didn't have to contain in a box basically. And so I hope, this does well. I would love a third one. Like I think it could work.
Could they do a third one?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if it makes all the monies like we think it will, then, of course they will because money. But, if they have a story to tell it.
I would love a third one. I think there's so much more that you could do, especially with Emily and Andy's characters, and so we'll have to see. But yeah, I really liked it, and also like, I'm not a fashionista. I'm
Why
wearing
not?
I'm wearing a hoodie right now, Ethan. So I think that explains. People were dressed up for this movie too, which I thought was really cool. But I just loved it, and it got me being like, ooh, I kind of kind of want to go get a nice outfit for myself.
Yeah, just like, yeah, who cares about what's left in my wallet? Like, I want to look pretty.
Have you ever heard of Christmas, Ethan? That's a throwback to a line, but
Yes, yes. Gosh, and like you were saying, so many well-written lines. And something I like about this movie especially is, yes, a lot of it is very well written, but a lot of it is smart and simple and well written.
hmm
And there's like a scene between two characters in the movie during a pretty, what you would consider to be a more pivotal point that would require a lot of dialogue, a lot of build up. And honestly, the way that they handle it, very contemporary, but very modern, very straightforward, very honest, and simple. It was just so simple and so smart, and it felt like you got exactly what you needed from that moment to make it feel like it was a truly deserved payoff.
hmm
And I'm like, damn, that was well written. I wanted to high five the screenwriter because of that. Like, a lot of people write themselves into corners for moments like that. Like, gosh, how am I going to make this payoff? It's got to be big. It's got to be grand. Sometimes it just needs to be simple,
Yeah.
but not simple dumb, simple smart.
Yeah, I love the writing of this, and the line delivery is great. My main question for you is, do you think Disney's going to learn their lesson from this if it does do well? Because there is plenty of other movies that they could give sequels to.
Like I said, if it makes money, they're gonna put a sequel to it. Like that's I think that's fairly as far as it goes. It's
Who
just
directed this again?
same one as the first one. It
Oh.
was David Finkel? David Frankel?
Do you think having the
Stable
same
crinkle fries?
crinkle do you think having the same director as the first one kind of helped with like the tone of it too?
David Frankel. And yeah, I absolutely, yeah, you definitely carry that same DNA about it, and it definitely shares it. There's a lot of practicality as well that, with certain shot choice, shot selection, especially with the final shot of this movie, which I loved because of the practicality of it, rather than doing what a lot of movies are doing nowadays, where it's more CGI. And going back to the scope and scale of this movie, I don't think you get that if you go more of the traditional route that has been done, where it's more like, yeah, let's get this traditional CGI shot of New York, or like let's just have a drone fly in the air for a bit and just get some B-roll. It even feels like the B-roll of this movie is like shot in earnest.
hmm
It really is specific to make you feel like you're in New York and what New York is and the story that he's trying to convey. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that Frankel came back and carried that same DNA, and obviously was able to deliver another great hit. And hopefully it's a great hit with audiences like it is with us. From our experience in our theater, it sounded like it was a big hit with everybody in it.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that it'll be a big hit with all of y'all.
I hope so, honestly, because I want to see more movies like this succeed. This is my plea to Disney. Please greenlight a Princess Diaries 3 because I want like the similar vibe that The Devil Wears Prada 1 and 2 had for Princess Diaries 3. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it should carry the exact same vibe, but
Well, yeah, but like the
it should get the same treatment.
yes, I want the same treatment.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
That would be wild if Julie Andrews was like Meryl Streep in this movie and she was yelling at people. That'd be kind of funny.
Get HR on Julie Andrews ASAP.
Queen of Genovia.
Oh, truly a slayer in her own rights. But Annmarie, at the end of the day, you know what we have to do.
We gotta rank it?
We gotta rate this movie. So Annmarie, out of 10 Valentino bags out of 10,
Ooh.
how many would you give Devil Wears Prada 2?
You know what? I really enjoyed this movie. And it's not just because Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Meryl Streep is in it, but it does really help. I think this movie deserves a 9 out of 10. I really did enjoy this, and I felt so much joy watching it, especially as, you know, as a little kid watching it and now growing up and watching the sequel. It just meant so much to me that this movie got a great treatment and had such like love and care put into it, because I feel like Anne Hathaway had talked a lot about making a sequel to this movie as well as the other actors and actresses. But I think that's just something that's so special is it felt like these people really did care and they wanted to come back and make a sequel. And so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It does not, like, honestly, it shouldn't be this good, but it is.
You know, I am shocked. I am shocked that I'm about to give this movie a better score than you.
What?
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, just a quick thing. We forgot to mention the music in this movie. Theodore Shapiro, the composer, same composer as the first one, definitely also carries that same spirit in his score. Where, yes, this movie does have a great soundtrack, but the score itself is exactly what the movie in all its other aspects is as well, an evolution of what came before, but maintaining that same spirit and elegance and true mentality that the first one had. So absolutely great job, Mr. Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
Now with that, um, my ranking is I gotta give it a 10 out of 10
What?
because okay, listen, I think this has been a little more established. Maybe we need to do like a separate video, a separate podcast about how we view our rating systems for reference. But the way I view it is a 10 out of 10 for me is you deliver exactly what you need to, and maybe then a little more than what was expected. Not a lot more than what was expected, but just a little more, little cherry on top. And you fulfill you check all the boxes, you do what you need to, and then you do some extra credit.
Mm-hmm.
This movie does exactly all that, delivers in spades between the performances, it delivers as a sequel, it delivers as its own great movie, and I would definitely see it again. Like, I was just absolutely flabbergasted. This, like you said right after the movie, this movie has no right being as good as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like here to just walk on the runway, strut its stuff, and say, damn right I am. So, you know, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. It truly spoke volumes to me, and I would love to see it on the cover of the next runway.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. But, you know, we gave our thoughts. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. Guys, Devil Wears Prada 2. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Were you a big fan of the first one? Were you excited for this one? Are you like skeptical? Whatever you're thinking, let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie, I think that about does it for us today.
Let's wrap it.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that great classic YouTube vernacular you know and love. And most importantly, we hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast. But whether you have or haven't, please don't forget to rewind. I've been Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And that's all.